When you order a drink for your toddler at a restaurant, you expect it to be age appropriate. So you can imagine the shock when one Florida mother realized the orange juice she'd requested for her 2-year-old at a Florida Olive Garden was a little more than OJ. It was a full-blown cocktail. We're joined this morning by Jill VanHeest and her toddler, Nikolai. Good to have both of you with us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's a little early for Nikolai this morning.
Yes.
So, Jill, you're out to dinner with your son and your mom. You order an orange juice. Most parents do.
Yep.
They bring it to the table. When did you notice that maybe something was wrong?
Well, he was starting to change his behavior. He was climbing out of the high chair, in the high chair, my mom's lap, my lap. And they came over, and the waiter took the drink and ran away with it, basically, said, "There's been a mistake. I need to get you a new one," and scurried off. And when he came back, I told him, I need to know what's in there in the event that he has any sort of reaction.
Right. And you were really smart about that. You said, my son has allergies, even though he doesn't.
Well,
were you thinking they wouldn't tell you?
He's little.
Yeah.
Like, he could be allergic to a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know about. And the waiter looked at me and said, the manager will be right over. It was tropical sangria. So Mom and I kind of look at each other. We start looking at him. His eyes are all big and dilated. Now he's gotten loud. His climbing's gotten more intense.
And this is more than just a regular, because no matter how well behaved any child
Right.
is, when you're 2 years old at a restaurant, sometimes
Absolutely.
you get a little unruly.
Absolutely.
Way beyond that.
Yes. And there wasn't any way at that point that I could put him back in timeout. I mean, he'd been in timeout. I couldn't put him back in timeout. I couldn't, ask him to do anything because he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, and you have the cup over here. This is a pretty big cup. So this is a 16-ounce cup that they brought you.
Right.
And he had it for a little over half an hour. He'd almost had the whole thing.
Right.
There
was ice
When
left,
the waiter came over and said, I have to take this, and took that cup away, and then eventually told you what it was, did he tell you how they figured out, how they ultimately knew that your son, in fact, didn't have orange juice? He had something that looked like orange juice, but in fact had alcohol?
No. All they told me was that it was a mistake.
Did the manager offer any extra explanation when they came over to talk to you?
No explanation ever. An apology, which, you're endangering my child. You're poisoning him with substances that, that aren't appropriate for him. And, the only thing I get is, we're sorry, it was a mistake.
Did you get a free meal?
Yeah.
You did? Well, we
that
do.
Wouldn't have. And we got a nice traumatic hospital trip.
Right, so you end up at the hospital. I know some blood work was done. You're waiting on those results.
Right.
We should say that Olive Garden did give us this statement, and we just want to get it out there, saying this was an extremely regrettable accident caused by the failure of an employee to follow our strict operating procedures. We took swift, appropriate action. We offer our sincerest apologies to the family of the child and to all of our guests. Doesn't sound like that's enough for you. Do you plan to pursue this with legal action?
Possibly. I just don't understand how, I put my trust in them. I trust that when something comes sealed in a cup, that I don't have to taste it, I don't have to try it. Mm-hmm. They're putting, it completely loses my trust.
Yeah.
And then to hear that it happened again, at an Applebee's.
Right. There was a similar incident outside of Detroit recently. A little kid got
Which is where
tequila
I'm
instead of
from,
apple
so
juice.
that's...
So it's understandably upsetting. Well, thank you for coming in this morning. We have to let you go, but just a yes or no. Will you go back to the Olive Garden?
No.
No. All right. Thanks. Hey, Nikolai, thanks, buddy. You did a great job.
Can you wave?
You did a great job, kiddo.